Hi everyone, this is Scott Dudley from Funnel Fella Radio, and today my special guest is Mitch Miller, who's a world-class copywriter and also the co-founder of Oppose Media, which is a consulting and education company, and he's currently based in Phuket, Thailand. Welcome to the show, Mitch. You ready to rock and roll?
Ready to rock and roll, man. Thank you.
Cool, man. All right, so let's start off with your background and how you first got into the world of digital marketing in the beginning.
All right, so I grew up really poor, so naturally I wanted to bounce back the other side and be rich. Problem was I had no skills, I had nothing. So then I was actually in a semi-famous rock band in Canada for some years. We got on the radio, we made albums, we started touring and all that. When that imploded down, I kind of went into a downward spiral. And then I ended up having a heart attack when I was 21 from too much partying and drugs and all of that. And then, so that kind of woke me up. That was kind of like the light bulb moment, I guess, in the story. And I was like, none of this shit anymore. I'm like, I don't want my parents to suffer. I don't want to suffer. I got to get rich. And that journey of trying to figure out how to get rich, I came across like Robert Kiyosaki and Brian Tracy, Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins, all these guys. And the one thing that they said is like, you can't just go be rich. You have to like change who you are and become the type of person for which riches are just a natural byproduct. So I was like, oh shit, I got to change myself. And that took like 10 years. I went homeless in the process. I started 9 different businesses, failed most of them very spectacularly. But then, after a while, after a good decade or more, you start to figure some shit out. And I started to make business work for you. But in that whole 12 years, I'd been obsessively, and I mean obsessively, studying marketing, psychology, because Tony Robbins interviewed Jay Abraham on one of his interview series in the early 90s. And that interview changed everything for me, because it was like talking about the power of marketing and the power of copywriting and the power of advertising. And I was hooked. So I was obsessed for 12 years. And even though I was failing all this time over those years, I was still taking all that knowledge in, and I was still acting. I was still doing. I was still in the hero's journey. I wasn't just sitting there reading. I was doing, even though I was failing for such a long time. And then eventually I started to get it. And then I started doing copywriting for people just as a service, kind of like an agency thing. And that was awesome. And we had some huge, massive wins. And then I started building a position for myself in the market. And I started teaching it. And I started teaching marketing. I started doing seminars, events, writing books. And I'm just obsessed with solving marketing problems and helping people, and the power of words and how you can switch a few of them around. It can change everybody, including changing lives. And so that's kind of it, man. I'm just a student, a lifelong obsessed student for whatever reason of marketing and psychology, and scraped up every inch to get here. There's no silver spoon, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you've earned it. Yeah. So what were you doing in the rock band? Were you a guitarist, singer, or what was your role there?
In that band, I was a bass player, which always pissed me off. I was a guitar player my entire life, but this one opportunity to kind of go big, they only had, they had a guitar spot open. I was like, I'm in. And then they're like, but you got to learn the whole album within 7 days, because we're going to go on tour. I said, okay, I can do that. I learned it within 4 days, and I was like, I got it. They're like, cool, let's go see, we'll try you out. I did it, I played it perfectly. That night, their guitar player decided to come back into the band. And so they said, well, shit, you know what? We do have a bass player. We have the bass player option. I'm like, I don't know bass, man. I never played bass. He's like, well, you got like 2 days to learn the songs if you can do it. And thank God bass playing required, basic bass playing, rock bass playing, can require very little talent. So I was like, oh, this is just like guitar with 1 string. So I was just doing like, and I did it. I pulled it off. And then, so I'm a guitar player, man, not anything else. But in that band, I was bass.
Was that around the same time that the Tea Party came out? Because they're a band from Canada that I used to love.
Tea Party was a lot before this. This was around 2006, 2005, 2007. So it was like the time when the Killers came out and stuff like that. That offered a deal with by Chad Kroger of Nickelback to be signed to his label, but we weren't functional enough to pull that off and say yes to that. But you like Tea Party, eh? That made it all the way down there.
Yeah, the Tea Party love Australia. I actually went to see them twice in one tour. Actually, I went 2 different nights, and yeah, I've seen them a few times. Awesome band.
Yeah,
Jeff Martin,
yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah. Very cool, man. They're very great stage presence. Uh, very unique. Very unique.
Yeah, one of my favourites for sure. But anyway, getting back to the marketing side of things, and to the present day. So tell me a little bit about your consulting and education company, Opposed Media.
You know, the thing I love doing most is interviews like this, question and answer, hot seats. People have problems. I love solving them in real time, no net, completely dangerous, on the spot. And so I love doing seminars and teaching too. So most of our business up until this whole like crazy ass scamdemic lockdown shit put us all in our homes. Um, we were doing about 10, 12 seminars a year. And then that's not including one-off workshops. And then I was also doing a bunch of courses, which I really don't actually like filming courses. It's kind of boring to me.
Yeah,
And so getting out there, meeting people, and that's kind of my thing is seminars, workshops, Q&A, hot seats. And so that was basically, of course, underneath it all, we'd be doing writing copy for ourselves and for some clients and some friends. Actually, they're like begging me to write copy for them. And I'm like, well, you got to give me a shitload of a percentage and a massive fee. And
yeah,
they're like, hell yeah, you're my friend, I'll do that. So we do that underneath it all and stuff. But yeah, basically now it's all about, especially now we're kind of restructuring everything since this COVID. With if this lockdown stuff can kind of take our business rate out from under us, like the parts that we enjoy, how
yeah,
can we figure out how to get that interaction and that lives kind of stuff going on in our business now? So that's what we're trying to figure out.
absolutely. So just sort of wondering why consulting and not like a done-for-you agency, which a lot of people are looking at these days.
Well, see, this is funny you say that, is because that's exactly where we're going to go now. And so I want to marry both. So typically the thing with my personality is I have, and I've done the personality tests and stuff like that. I know myself very well. I can start things, but I have a very hard time finishing them. And so in the past, an agency thing was just not even remotely in the cards. It's laughable to consider that.
Right.
Of course, when I do finish work product, it's incredible. So what we've done now is we've created a team. I've hired an incredible CEO who doesn't even let any single loose end fly. And he's creating a system based on my copywriting, where we have people in place to do that copywriting, where I get to consult and the direction, the strategy, and everything like that, the angles, and then they will do it, and they provide the research, and then I'll finish it off and kind of Mitchify it at the end. And so that is actually what we're doing. We're creating a massive agency, but on the front of it, I get to do what I love. So I get to train the people at the agency, which is great. I don't get to have to fully do all the work. I just get to make sure it's up to standard at the end. But then on the front end, I'm going to be doing a call-in show, basically, where I'm not sure how many days a week yet, but it's basically people will call in with their marketing problems, advice, and things like that. And I just get to sit there and do what I love, which is answer questions and do advice, kind of like a Dave Ramsey style.
Oh, okay, excellent. So would your agency also be providing like traffic and optimization, or is it more sort of a copywriting and funnels?
Probably copywriting to start with, copywriting strategy, campaigns. The problem, as you probably know, is you can't just write an ad in a vacuum. It has to go to the strategy and the positioning, and everything has to all make sense. The offers have to make sense in the copy. And so you do have to take a holistic view of this. And that's why I'm thinking we're going to offer strategy and campaigns and stuff like that. As far as the traffic and all that it goes, I don't know. I mean, I do have access to anybody who's doing awesome traffic. And so I'm thinking there might be a chance to partner up or bring that on.
Yeah.
Because as you know, man, like if you're going to write copy, but you don't have control over anything, you don't control the offers, you don't have control over the angles, the positioning. It's like your hands are tied. The copy can only do so much. So we're going to try to address that as much as possible.
Yeah, as Ben Settle used to say, you can't polish a turd. I mean, if you've got bad copywriting, then, it's just not going to work, is it?
Yeah, or if you have excellent copywriting, but the offer is just shit. It's like, you're putting...
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, I got it around the wrong way. You're right. Yeah. But anyway, all right. So tell us about one of your most successful marketing campaigns from one of your students and why you believe it performed so well.
Well, from one of my students, damn. Let me think.
Or from
yeah. I mean, what I really love is what I really love helping especially in the past, is people who are kind of like underdogs. So people who really do know what they're doing, but they have a hard time conveying that. And so we had one student. His name is Anthony, and he was trying to figure out. He had a really good offer, but he didn't really have the didn't quite have the positioning right. So they didn't quite really know who he was or kind of care who he was, even if the offer was good.
Yeah.
And also didn't really know how to kind of run a campaign. He could kind of just like splash an offer out, but not really how to kind of like, I call it like a movie release, where you want to kind of build the hype for it and cut it off and,
Yeah.
kind of do a campaign. And so we had him do, he signed on to our, we used to have called the Dark Horse coaching program. And he signed up to that, and we got him going, got him figure out his positioning. We started to boost it on Facebook, and then do a campaign and start to do with his offer there. And within the 14 days, actually, which he got started from September 1st to September 14th, 2018,
Yeah.
he pulled in $58,000 just out of nowhere for that. And so it's not huge, but it's life changing, and it's super cool. And it's a power that he can just keep doing in the future, because the formula is right there. So that's one I like.
You just replicate it, absolutely. And yeah, that's completely life-changing.
It is, yeah. Because then you're like, what if I did that in 14 days? Like, what can't I do?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you've written 5 books and also some home study programs. Tell us a little bit about those.
So this is actually kind of a sneaky tactic, and this is actually really cool for anyone listening who kind of wants to do the same. Maybe you don't have the focus or the time to sit down there and write books from scratch. So what I've actually done, my first couple of books were kind of general on marketing. One was in real estate randomly. And then I did one on kind of consulting and getting clients and kind of framing yourself as the expert in the right way back in 2016. All those books were, I think, 2014, 15. But my most recent books, actually, and the most popular ones are, I call them toilet readers, but basically what they are so every year, and most people do content as well, but I would do written content daily. And then so at the end of a year, I would have all of these articles and posts. And then I decided, okay, well, I'm just going to use like the derivative principle and exploiting what I already have. And I decided to take those articles and I mashed them all up, and each article became its own little chapter or its own little piece. And then I just turned them into a book. And so then you can pick it up, put it down, read one, read and put it down, read the rest. And there's no commitment. And it's just kind of like, usually about 170 in each book for that year. So 2017, I think I have one to do for 2019. But it's just the book is like 160, 170 different articles that you can just read. And pretty powerful, man. And it's a way to get a book done for yourself that is legit and very valuable to people without having to write it.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just basically doing it bit by bit. I mean, one article is just one part of the book. So, I mean, if you just look at it that way and just stick with it, then yeah, exactly. That's a great way to write a book.
It's cool, man. And like people love that non-committal, like they just pick it up, read something, put it back. A few of mine are just like a paragraph, like, and people like that. They're like, oh, great. Like chapter 69 just says it's blank, and it says, let's just like give a moment of silence to the greatest number on earth.
I guess the most difficult thing with that, though, would be putting them in the right sequence, wouldn't it? So that it's sort of a logical sequence of the chapters, or sorry, the articles. I mean, or is it more of a random sort of sequence of articles?
Yeah, I mean, you totally could if you wanted to group them into categories, like in certain ways, but I didn't. I just did here's a random smattering of stuff. The one thing I did do that I thought was important, though, is in the table of contents. Of course, each one is a different thing, and so I made I made sure each title of each chapter was like an actual headline, like the best that I could do. And so then you just get all these incredible headlines, 160 of them or whatever. And then you can just pick which one you want to go. So it's a choose your own adventure, man. No logic, just straight like, here it is.
Nice. Okay, so what are your favorite online tools and platforms that you use to run your business?
Very simple, actually. So we were not doing funnels anymore. When we had ClickFunnels for 5 years straight, actually. Yeah, we use ClickFunnels every day for 5 years. Now it's extremely simple. So we just use Samcart.
Oh yeah.
We also we use ChillPay because we're based in Thailand, so we find that one's really good for our Thai business. We use Active Campaign for the email list, and then we just we buy Google storage. I mean, very simple. I know that I'm missing some. I think we have paid Wistia. Also, I'm paying for Visme, Visme, which is a way to make webinar presentations and VSLs super beautiful very quickly. And I mean, I used to use PowerPoint to make some shit, and I'm just like, I can't believe I ever did. Like, it's an incredible tool for professional stuff, super quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's about it. I use I mean I do a lot of video, so I have like a Canon, a really good Canon camera. I have the lighting. I have a mixer that goes into like an actual Rode podcast mic. I use Premiere Pro to edit the videos
Okay.
and things like that. So that stuff's really important to me. But what we've done over the past year or two is like really get simple with the business. And actually, the more simple we get, the more we make. We can get lost in the funnels, get lost in the craziness, and lost in the tools, and then they kind of start to work against me. And so we're trying to really keep it simple.
What about?
Sorry, I was gonna say, I just remember we use Boomerang for Gmail, so it's a way to following up with each other. It's a very cool little plugin. We use it's sneaky. It's really cool for team stuff. We use Slack for our business, for internally for teams. Yeah, that's all I can remember. I'm sure there's more little tools that we use, but
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I was going to ask, with the copywriting, is there any like software programs that you use to generate the copy? Because there are a few like Scriptile and Funnel Scripts and that, which obviously it doesn't write perfect copy, but it gives you a good starting point. Do you use any of those?
I don't. I and maybe it's good for some people, but for me, I can't. I just a lot of times just give me a notepad and paper and I go for a walk and I kind of come up with it. Like I kind of write most of the copy in my head, to be honest. So when it's time to write, it's kind of there. Those kind of programs, I tried like some trials of them. It just fucks with me. Like I just love, like I'm a hardcore born to be writer. Like I just need a piece of paper and a pen and my brain and then all the information. And I just kind of start putting the art together. I can't imagine using some of those tools. What I have started using recently though is Hemingway for some editing. I find I know when I'm long-winded, actually it really helps.
Yeah, that's great for really making it tight and condensed, isn't it? And getting rid of all the unnecessary words. I've used that one myself.
Yeah, and you can choose, like, you don't have, just because it says this sentence may be more difficult to read doesn't mean you don't keep it in there, but it's at least you know, and you can at least you now have a chance to fuck with it. And for me, for Hemingway, like the greatest thing about that for me is the reading level, the grade reading level. That's what I care about.
Just about my shit. Yeah, because it'll let you know what grade level the whole piece is at, and from there you can basically tell whether it's up to scratch or not. So if it's like level 9, then you know you got to get it right down.
Yeah, I want to get mine to 3 or 4 every time.
3 or 4. Yeah.
Because what I heard too is I heard Donald Trump is a grade 4 level when they analyzed his speeches.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting. So I love to get mine down to 3 or 4. It's possible.
Yeah, I remember I used to struggle to get it down to 4. I think that was about the lowest I could get it. But yeah, 3 or 4, that'd be top shelf writing.
Yeah, for me, it's less words. It's less words, and it's the words you don't want to use because you think they're too simple or everyone uses them. It's like in my mind, when I can get it down to 3 or 4, if I just use like big, for example, instead of trying to find either an adjective for big or trying to explain it with a metaphor or analogy, which then is more words, which then can up the reading level. Sometimes I'll just literally say that simple word that we kind of you'd almost cringe to do sometimes.
Because it's like John Carlton says, the adjectives can sometimes just be overkill. They're just unnecessary.
Yeah, like John Carlton said that. Someone else recently said something. They were a writer. It wasn't copywriting. It was movie writing or script writing or comedy. But they basically said any adjective that you would say, instead demonstrate it. Like, you have more power. So instead of saying this was, this was whatever, even saying like this was epic, it's like you actually can just explain how it was epic instead of saying it was epic, and then you get more power.
Yeah, that
you don't
makes
have to say the word. You can just demonstrate the proof of that claim.
Yeah. All right. So what are some of the biggest and most common mistakes that you see your clients making?
So there's a couple things. Number one, when it comes to, if we're going to go peel back to the core of it, we're on social media, so the vast majority of people need to position themselves online in the way that they want to. So whether that's as an expert or as a leader, authority in their niche, whatever that is, they kind of need to market themselves, especially if they want to get clients. It's a lot of people buy into you before they generally buy into your products a lot of times. And so the biggest mistake I see there, and I see so many, man, I'm doing a training right now on this whole, I'm doing a 5-part series on positioning yourself right now. And I think the biggest mistake, honestly, is people are they're desperately looking for, like, they're more focused on validation and the approval of their market than actually becoming an authority to their market. And that'll kill people. So when you're looking for the approval of your market over the authority, having authority over them, then it's the wrong vibe. They'll never respect that, and they'll never see you as that authority, and that you don't have that, you don't command that ability to move them and inspire them. It's like the police officer who's like dying to be liked versus trying to.
Okay, so unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties with the call that we did with Mitch Miller. I'm not sure what happened, but the internet over in Thailand must have died, or there's some sort of issue, and we weren't able to finish this interview, unfortunately. However, I'm sure that you'll agree that Mitch dropped plenty of golden nuggets, and there was plenty of value in the content that he was able to deliver before his internet died. And if you want to contact Mitch or find out more about him, you can go to opposedmedia.com. And just to clean up a quote that I did earlier on in the podcast where I completely butchered it, the quote from Ben Settle that I was trying to remember was that brilliant copywriting won't sell a turd. So basically what that means is that no matter how good your copywriting is, if the offer that's being presented is not a good match for the people that you're trying to sell to, then no matter how good your copywriting is, then it's not really going to make too much difference. It's a bit like selling steak to a vegetarian. No matter how good you make that sound, then the target audience is just not going to be interested. So anyway, we'll wrap up on that note. I look forward to catching up with you on the next episode of Funnel Fella Radio. Bye for now.